about it. Share communication, making preparation, building the foundation. Let's talk about it. Setting up our future, bringing ourselves closer, falling in love deeper. Let's talk about it. Since we have this moment together, relationships grow better with Marriage Talk.
Hey, well, praise the Lord and welcome to today's session of Marriage Talk. We really believe and hope by faith that as you've been journeying through all of the Marriage Talk sessions, that God has allowed us to have the privilege to be able to touch your life, to touch the life of your marriage and your spouse. And we believe that today we've got something special. In fact, today we're going to be in Elder's sweet spot. So, I'm sure she'll do more of the talking. In fact, I'm praying that she doesn't get on her soapbox because this is something that's near and dear to her heart. It was, in fact, one of the biggest bones of contention when we got married. And we want to approach the subject today from the perspective of newlyweds or those who are getting ready to get married. And it's money problems. Yeah. His, hers, or ours.
Yes.
And Elder, we've been doing this a long time. I'm sure right now somebody is already watching this session. And the first question is, should you have your own money? Should the wife have her own money? Should the husband have his own money? Or should we have our money? Or, how does that work? And I think one of the things you've taught me is every household is different. But I think, what have you seen work the best? Separate or joint, or a hybrid of separate and joint?
Well, I think they all can work. I mean, let me just start there, because I don't want to say one is better than the other. Everything always boils down to the people and how they think and perceive different things. And so right off the top, I'm going to always say whatever works for you, keep doing it if it's working. But I always want to define what it's working means. And it's working means you aren't complaining. Everybody's content, everybody's happy, and it's flowing. Not that this is what you're doing to somebody. That is correct.
You said that in one of the sessions in the past. You said just because we're doing it doesn't mean it's working.
That is correct. Right. That is correct. If there's peace and harmony in your household, how you're handling the finances, ideally, then you keep doing that. But what we have seen through our counseling and what people come in and complain about the most, and our experience is that people don't have a good working system. I think some of the general parameters of what makes for a good working system is that everyone does have their own money. I mean, the biggest complaint I hear and we get is, I'm a grown woman or I'm a grown man and I go out here and I work every day and I got to beg the other spouse for $5 or $10.
I got a great illustration example of that though. And it kind of messed with me the other day. So I'm going to be a little transparent.
All right.
The other day, I've been using credit card because what we do, and then we'll get into actually we got 10 things we want to share. But what we do is everything goes into a joint account. And then, each of us have our separate accounts.
Right.
And you kind of messed me up the other day.
Why?
Because remember the other day we went somewhere and I said, man, my little account has gotten low. Because, my account is usually people give me 50 here, or, so I put that in my account. And so it had gotten low. Mm-hmm. So I had started using the credit card.
Right.
Especially with gas being $6 a gallon and all this kind of stuff. So the other day, she writes me a $5,000 check out of her checking account and says
No, it was not. See, it was a household account.
Okay, well, it was your check, though,
No, it wasn't. No, it was not. Not out of my account.
I'm glad we did this session today because I'm like, man.
Not out of my account.
No, I need you using your petty cash.
Use the
rather
debit
than
card.
using credit card because I can't regulate that.
Right.
And so I didn't look at the check well, okay? Because I'm
See?
like, man, this chick had $5,000 in her check.
And to add to that, which is
Okay,
which
y'all
is
this
which is
session
advice
really
right
helped
now.
me.
That's correct. We doing our own therapy. The reason why, if you remember what I said was, as we prepare for retirement, I said we need to get away from using the credit card
We
as
decided
much.
we're not using that word, retirement.
As
we're
we prepare for
repositioning.
repositioning,
We're repositioning.
because at the end of the month, that credit card bill, and you know,
Yes.
I've always said we pay off the credit card when it comes in. I don't like carrying a balance.
So we ain't gonna be able to
and
do that
we've
when
been,
we
that's
reposition?
correct. So I don't like that we have spent cash and a bill comes
Wow.
in. So we need to
I
start
can-
training
I can
ourselves.
I can sense that I'm going to lose my credit cards in my reposition.
Yes, because I'm trying to monitor now cash balances.
I
So I'd
can't
rather the
control
cash
the $6
balance.
gas.
I'd rather the cash balance be down, because then when it's gone, which is exactly what I teach, versus charging
All
it.
right, all right,
And
all
then
right,
I
all
don't
right,
know
all
how
right,
much
all
has
right.
actually
I
been
told you she was
spent.
going to get on this soapbox.
Yeah, well,
So
you-
let's start
Right.
with these 10 things. We got to get to these 10 things. First thing, and this is, I looked at them and they sound so matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were that matter of fact, we wouldn't be doing sessions.
That is true.
So here's the first one, and I know you think, oh, that's so simple, Bishop. Okay, don't set yourself up for disaster. Don't spend too much on the wedding.
I told them this was a point that should have come in to us about a year ago. I don't know if my
that's
daughter,
right. I'm
if
like,
our daughter is watching,
we
because
are so
we blew
hypocritical.
that one. That's right.
Yeah, this is blatant hypocrisy right here, because we just spent too
A
much on the
fortune.
wedding.
Well, okay, then maybe we need to say, what is too much? Too much is relative, based on the person, because somebody's
She
spending
was waiting for me to second that motion. I wasn't seconding that motion.
$500 may be too much for some people, and $50,000 may be too much for some people.
Here's a question. Watch this, y'all. This is going to be good. This is the best session you could have for those of you getting ready to get married and need to learn how to manage your money. When we got married, first of all, I didn't put anything, I don't think.
Well, there you go.
Right,
That's
I didn't bring anything
if
to the
you
table.
don't have the money to spend,
But how much
too
was
much
our
money.
wedding 33 years ago? How much did you spend? You
If
remember?
you had nothing to put into it, spending anything was too much.
Right.
So,
But I
it's
mean,
not a dollar amount.
I'm just trying to do a point of reference.
It's not a dollar amount.
Do you remember?
No.
Okay.
No, I
Because
don't.
we got married at the holiday
But
Inn.
I did not bring any wedding bills into our marriage. So
No,
whatever the
I didn't
amount,
either.
right? So whatever the amount was,
It was reasonable.
It was
So
reasonable.
the point is, you do not want to be doing your wedding on credit.
That's correct.
'Cause
I mean, and again, that's personal.
Right.
I would
Well,
not, unless
right.
again
You
it was.
can.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I'm going to pay it off
right.
in a month or so.
No,
Not
that's a
something
different
that I'm
piece.
carrying for years.
We're talking to the people. You getting ready to put $5,000 on a Visa card for
Mm-hmm.
your wedding. You're going to be paying that $5,000 off when y'all been married 20 years.
Correct. If your plan is to only make the minimum payments.
Right.
Correct. But if you're going to
Absolutely.
put $5,000 and you're going to knock $2,000 out a month for the next 2-3 months, well then okay, that's
Right,
reasonable.
different piece.
Right. Absolutely.
So don't set yourself up for disaster.
Yeah.
So, and once again, we live in a day and time now where say yes to the dress and all this stuff that's on TV. So everybody now has to, look, you can't have a destination. Okay, let me say it another way. You can't have a ghetto destination wedding. If you're going to spend money to fly all the way to another country, just things like that. So think through how much you're going to spend, whether you can really afford it. Here's the second one. Discuss your issues before you get married. Now, I thought about this even for us. I really don't even remember us talking about money before we got married.
Yeah, we did. We talked about the budget a little bit before we got
did we?
married. Yeah.
And I was on board with you paying tithe?
No, that's why we had
Oh, I
to
was
keep
going
talking
to
about it
say.
even after we got
I
married.
know that's right, because I'll never forget when you told me this how much you gonna give to the church. I'm
Yeah.
like, girl, you done lost your mind.
Yeah, we started talking a little bit. I don't
That's a
think
car note.
I don't think he had full disclosure when we talked initially
Well, I know
about
I
the debt.
didn't.
But
I know I didn't. So just make sure you get full disclosure.
which is why we advocate marriage talk.
Talk. That's exactly
because
right. You
it's
need
a good
this book.
way.
This
yes,
book will help
and,
you
and workbook.
deal with it. That's
Yes,
exactly
absolutely.
right. But don't be afraid to talk about money and
Well,
talk
we're
about
afraid
the
to
real
talk
issues.
about everything. I mean, that's the bottom line. We have superficial relationships. I think we call them that. And that's why we even say on Facebook, you got friends. They aren't your
Oh, they
friends.
not your friends, right.
But I think even in relationships, I think people, before you get married, people are so afraid it's gonna upset the relationship, and I don't want him to think this way or that way, so we don't talk about stuff.
It's y'all ladies, these modern day ladies, so afraid they gonna lose him.
Well, I think men too.
Right.
I think it goes both ways, depending on what the topic is.
Issues.
Absolutely.
But you know what? I've learned, not necessarily learned this way, but it's better for you to lose them and have some money in the savings account than to not talk about it.
And wait till you get married, and then you're upset that you married them. Right,
because
absolutely.
This is a proverb. It's found in 2 Kim Brown, chapter 3, verse 4.
And that is?
When thou with money is okay, it would appeareth that everything else is okay in the house.
It does make a lot of other things more palatable.
Absolutely.
I will agree with that. Yes,
it
does. Takes
you
a lot
can
of
put up
stress
with a
off.
snoring spouse when the bills are paid.
Yes, you can.
But when the bill's not paid and the creditor's calling, that snoring is going to work on your last nerve every night. It's almost like money problems become a magnifier.
It does. To
for
all
the other situations in
I
your
agree
marriage.
totally.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
agree.
So discuss issues before you get married. Outstanding debt, loans.
What are you bringing into the marriage?
Absolutely.
And whether or not you can even pay them on your own. And I think really that's one of the biggest pieces. If you're single and you have debt, but you are able to pay those debts and have extra money, well, then that's a little bit different because I'm making the assumption that two people are coming together, each having
cheaper to live together.
Each having been able to live on their own and pay their own expenses. But if you're in debt and haven't been able to pay your bills, you're the one who truly need to disclose that to the other person because you're bringing a liability into the marriage, as opposed to two people coming together who have both been able to take care of their bills, and then it's not an issue.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. This third point is really, really so interesting. I know it was deeply rooted in us and how we had to work through stuff. Understand your partner's money mindset.
Yep.
What I've learned and what we've learned is we can be raised in the same neighborhood, went to the same high school. Culturally, it appears that we would be the same. But once you get into how people think about economics and money, I've learned, I know for us, money mindset. For me, a credit card was free money. It was never my, I think right now I'm 60 and really I'm driving now for the very first time. I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the first vehicle that I have ever had the title to, paid off. I just never thought about paying off cars. Where for her money mindset was a credit card was for emergencies.
That's correct.
And you heard her say, you pay it off at the end of the month. Now, obviously, there's some extenuating circumstances for some people. We're not trying to make it sound presumptuous. You got to go out and buy a new refrigerator, and it's $3,000. You might not be able to pay that off the first month.
That's correct.
But you are working towards paying that off.
Absolutely.
Where for me, we would still owe, I remember my mama charged the last refrigerator we had. We haven't finished paying the credit card where we charged that. And now it's time to get a new refrigerator.
Because you're making the minimum payment.
Because we're making the minimum payment.
Yeah.
And so think about and do some experimentation on money mindset. We're going to be back in just a moment. We're going to take a little break. We want to share with you the opportunity for you to look at KWBrownMinistries.org, see some of the other ministry offerings that are out there. And we're going to be right back. We got much more to share. We're talking about money matters and money problems, especially for those of you that are getting ready to get married.
For 2 years, KW Brown Ministries has been working tirelessly to give you exactly what you need. You've asked for it. Tools for hope. Tools for information. Tools for inspiration. Stay tuned for October 9th, 2022.
Well, we're back. We thank you. We hope you were able to explore some things that the ministry can offer you, some additional products and content. Today we're talking about money problems, and although this is Marriage Talk, we're really trying to help those people that might be thinking about getting married, so that you can be proactive, because there is nothing worse than saying I do and then finding out that your spouse owes $200,000 in student loans that y'all didn't talk about.
That's correct.
Or one of the things, Elder, we talk about all the time, and this is a real sensitive issue. It's not on our list, but we see it play out so much. Child support.
I knew you were going there. Absolutely.
Because
yes.
first of all,
Yes.
when you're dating someone that has children, especially dating a man that has children, you taking the children to the park and all this, and it's so cute and all that. You're not stopping. Sometimes I see a lot of women not stop to think about, this child is 3 years old,
That's right.
or this child is 5 years old.
That's correct.
How much is he paying in child support? First of all,
Right.
is he current on his child support?
correct.
And then if the
how
child is
long?
5, in your mindset, you need to be ready to acknowledge that for the next 13 years,
At least till age 18, sometime till 22.
21,
Yeah,
right.
21, 22. Yeah,
if,
absolutely.
depending on how they go to college and things
That's
like
correct.
that. So in your mindset, when you're getting ready to marry a man that has 2 children, a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old,
Absolutely.
you need to think.
Ask and talk about it.
Right. And be ready to, you're signing up that a major portion of his income, unless there are always extenuating
Right.
circumstances
Right.
where people have extra average, extraordinary amount of income and things like that. But you need to at least mentally be prepared that that payment is going to be going out of the house for 18 years, or however many years.
And even take a look at the relationship between the baby's mother, depending on which side you are, and the spouse as well, because what we've also experienced is the amount they paying may be okay right now, but as soon as they get
marry you and you got that good shipyard job,
or
gonna be
they're
back in
upset
court.
with the relationship because now he's getting married
Right.
to you when they've
so
been
they go
always.
back to court.
That is correct. They will take you back to court.
And it's amazing. We see this all the time too when it comes to child support. One person will feel like, I don't have to pay that much, and then they'll roll the dice and go to court. I'm just saying, the court they're going to just use a chart. The court doesn't get into the personality and how much your car note is and you driving this kind of car. The court just says, based upon your income, here's what you pay. So that's another, just a sidebar to, if you're getting ready to marry somebody that has children, are they paying child support? A big thing is, are they current on their child support as well? Because if they're not current, we've seen this too, where you all file your income taxes jointly. And because the spouse is behind in child support, the total tax return is then garnished by the IRS to pay back child support.
Yes, they can do that.
They can do that. Set your eyes. Here's number 4. Set your eyes on the same prize. Set financial goals. And establish those goals. One of the things and this will bleed into budgeting, but one of the things that does is it helps you to at least get some wins. And when I say wins, you feel better about yourself when you're starting to achieve some goals. Elder, tell them about, because I had never ever heard of it, and I'm sure, I don't think you invented it, but you invented it for me. That every year at the beginning of the year, I don't know what you call it, but you do like an inventory of where we were last year and at the beginning of the year, and then where we were at the end of the year. And you said something to me one time that was so profound. She said, why would you want to work all year long and at the end of the year not be
better
off than you were at the beginning of the year?
Correct. It's a simple Excel spreadsheet. And basically, I list, our bank accounts. I list any debts that we have and things like that. Basically, I'm trying to figure out what our net worth is. How much are we worth today?
Right.
And what are the various balances? And then I use that to set our goals for the household in terms of where I want to be at the end of the year. How much do I want to be in the savings account? How much do I want to pay off on certain debts that we may have, including our house mortgage, as you know, because my goal is to pay it off. I know it may be a 30-year mortgage, but
I had never met somebody who had that as a goal?
I'm trying to pay it off as soon as I can, because when I reach retirement, I don't want to have a mortgage. I want to have my bills as less as possible. So I set those goals at the beginning of the year based on what those balances are. And then when I get to the end of the year, I'm ready to see if I did better, because as you've shared, you should not get to the end of the year, you've worked all year and you have less money in the bank. You owe more debt. That's a problem, because when you get to be 60, 70, you're going to be in trouble. And so the whole goal and the exercise also, not only looking at it at the end of the year, but looking at it incrementally. Because if I say I'm trying to save $1,200 in my savings account, then I'm looking at an average of $100 a month. Right. My balance should be going up. And so I can look at it every month to see if I'm up.
On pace.
Absolutely. And if not, because something came up, then I may need to cut something out and double up in the next couple of months, so that at the end of the year, I will have met my goals.
And the day and time that we currently are living in need to add this addendum or rider to that. Let the numbers tell you the whole story.
Absolutely.
Because right now, you could have bought a house. And the way the real estate market is right now, the real estate market has appreciated so much. If you put down what your house is worth.
No. You put down what it costs. Don't put down what it's worth.
Absolutely.
No, not in this exercise for what I'm doing. Because I'm looking at the debt, the mortgage loan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out, because
a banker is going to look at the value.
But that's not realistic for the goal setting component.
It's not.
Which leads us to the next piece. Don't be afraid. Don't ignore the B word, budget. What are, I guess, I almost feel like, this is your lane. I'm interviewing you. When you look at people doing, it's always amazing to me. People will call you and say, Elder, can you sit down with me and help me with a budget? Some stuff is so black and white.
Yeah.
Okay, if you make...
But you've said black and white is not black and white for everybody. So.
But no, this is black and white.
Okay.
You make $100 a week, and you got bills worth $105. They come to you thinking you can give them a budget that's going to enable them to save.
Right. Yeah.
A budget can't fix that.
No, it doesn't. But 99, there has only been one person that has ever come to me that's been the case, though.
Wow.
Usually, and that was only because they used to have a full-time job. They went to a part-time job.
Okay.
So the scenario is their income went down, but the bills didn't change. Well, I can't help you in that. You need to go get another part-time job.
Right.
But the average person who comes to me, 99% of the people who come to me, the problem is not their bills, as I've shared. They have the revenue coming in, their basic bills, their rent or their mortgage, their car payment, those things that are hardcore expenses are less than their revenue. People spend their money on those things that they do not budget for.
Disposable income is misappropriated.
That is correct. They spend more disposable income than they have. They're eating out, they're buying clothes, they're buying tickets, they're going to Starbucks, they're doing getting their hair, their nails, doing all those things that they do not budget for, and they're spending their rent or their mortgage because they don't keep track of it.
One of the things you always tell couples to do is to track spending for 30 days.
If you're in that situation, if you're listening right now and you say, oh, that doesn't apply to me, Elder, that's not the case.
You would be surprised.
I'm saying get out your paper and your pencil, write down your bills, the ones that you have to pay every single month.
Now it's easier, though. It's easier now because people got debit cards. So you can go back and look at your debit card and just pull out your debit card statement and go research. I don't want to call it
even bank account. Banks now have the apps that are attached to your debit cards that they show you by category. They'll show you spend
how much
this
you spend on coffee.
Well, not coffee, but they'll say retail or merchandise or travel or then any of those categories. So they really do the work for you.
Right. The key is, I think what you're trying to help all of us to understand is whether you're getting ready to get married, you're thinking about getting married, or you're already married, have some system. No system is definitely a failure.
Absolutely.
Have a system, and the system is adjusted based upon how your relationship operates.
That is correct.
So there is no one system that fits every relationship, but you need to come to some form of meeting of the minds where you say, this is our system for how we are going to operate our finances. In the system, one of the things that, especially if you're watching today or you're participating today and you all are thinking about getting married, you got to reconcile and talk through. It's very rare when both husband and wife have income and the incomes are balanced. You know, it's typically one of them is going to make more than the other.
Right.
And when I say make more, I'm not talking about, you know, $1,000 more a year. I'm talking about typically it can be a significant difference.
Correct.
What we've seen many times is the person that makes the most money wants to be the ruler of finance more sometimes than the person that doesn't. You got to get that kind of thinking out of your relationship, because that causes a classism basically in relationship, that I'm more valuable than you, my opinion is more valuable, so I make more money than you, so you don't have as much of a say-so. The reality is the best way you can articulate that, the best way I can articulate, I've learned from my son, I'm a sports buff, is the reality is when we go in the huddle, all 5 of us might play different positions on the basketball team, but all of us are going back out on that court and try to win this game. So just because our position, you might be the scorer, but please know, all I do is block shots. But if I don't block some shots, you're not going to get the ball so you can be the scorer. So you got to recognize that everybody, both of us have value, and don't measure that value by the level of income.
Absolutely.
Measure that value by financial IQ. That's a biggie for me because, and I guess I was just a pure knucklehead then when we got married, because number one, I made less money than her, and I had a lower financial IQ than her. Yet I wanted to be the banker in the household.
Yes, you did.
And I wanted to tell us how we spend the money. And so I want to manage the money, be the authority over the money. I make less money, and I have a lower financial IQ.
And you were a spender.
And I was a spender. I wasn't going to say that. See, you had to go there. But the reality is this. It's inevitable that someone in the relationship has a higher financial IQ, is just more effective at managing the funds. So as a part of your system, you've got to talk through who that person is. And it's not gender sensitive.
No,
we get that so much. I'm the man of the house. I'm going to control the money. Well, if you're the man of the house and you're a spender, you don't need to be trying to control the money.
No.
But some kind of a way men interpret and are opinionated that controlling the money makes them more of a man. Right. Well, let me just tell y'all something. If I'm less of a man, I can handle being less of a man with something in my retirement and something in my pocket. I've been delivered from that. We hope that today we've given you some food for thought and really pushed you to think about how you're going to manage money and how you're going to make decisions so that you can alleviate as much as possible money problems. Thank you for sharing with us today. Thank you for giving us the privilege of being able to share with you. Once again, kwbrownministries.org. Go there and check out all of the ministry products as well. You can get this book. You can get elders' books. You can get our books together. We're just so excited about what God is doing. We believe that you're ready or readier than you were because today you had some marriage talk.